So I'm 23, I'm from the UK, I run a faceless YouTube channel called Wi-Fi Uni with 25,000 subscribers, and it makes me around $2,000 a month. And today I want to make the case for why I'd pick a faceless YouTube channel over every other online business model available right now. And I want to be clear that I've actually thought about the alternatives seriously, rather than just defaulting to YouTube because that's what I know. Because I think the argument is stronger when you actually compare it to the specific things people consider instead. Please excuse this AI slob voice. I promise the value in this video is worth it. So let me start with the general argument before I get into the specific alternatives. And the general argument is this, which is that most online business models require you to choose between two things: either low startup cost with high time investment and uncertain returns, or higher startup cost with lower time investment and more predictable returns. And faceless YouTube is one of the very few models that sits in a genuinely good position on both dimensions at the same time. Like, the startup cost is basically zero, and the time investment produces an asset that compounds rather than just producing income that resets. And I don't think people fully appreciate how rare that combination is. So let me start with dropshipping, because it's probably the most talked about alternative in the make money online space, and the one most people consider first. Dropshipping can work. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it doesn't. But the fundamental problem with it is that the path to profitability runs directly through paid advertising. Like, you need to spend money on Facebook or TikTok ads to drive traffic to your store. And that means you're spending money before you know whether any of it is going to convert. And the learning curve on paid advertising is steep and expensive. Like, most people burn through a few hundred or a few £1,000s figuring out what works before they find a product and an ad combination that's actually profitable. And even when it is working, dropshipping income is not passive. Like, you're constantly managing suppliers, dealing with customer service, monitoring ad performance, refreshing creatives, and the moment you stop doing those things, the income stops. And it doesn't compound in the way that a YouTube back catalog does. Every month, you're essentially starting fresh and fighting for margin in a space that gets more competitive every year as more people enter it. Faceless YouTube, by comparison, has basically zero upfront cost. The learning curve is paid in time rather than money, and the asset you build compounds over time rather than resetting. And I think those differences make it a fundamentally better model for someone starting from scratch with limited capital. The agency model is another one people talk about a lot. And I mean things like social media management agencies, video editing agencies, SEO agencies, that whole space. And I want to be honest that the agency model can produce good income faster than a YouTube channel. Like, if you can get a few clients paying you a monthly retainer, you can be making decent money within a few weeks. And that speed is genuinely appealing, especially if you need income quickly. But the agency model has a ceiling that's tied directly to your time. Like, at some point, you hit a limit on how many clients you can service before the quality drops or you burn out. And scaling past that limit requires hiring people, which introduces a whole layer of complexity and cost and management that most people didn't sign up for when they started. And the income is also not really yours in the way that YouTube income is. Like, it's dependent on client relationships that can end. And if you lose your biggest client, your income drops immediately. And the other thing about the agency model that I think is underrated as a downside is that you're essentially doing work for other people's businesses. And that means the skill and the effort you're putting in is building their asset rather than your own. Whereas every video I make for Wi-Fi Uni is building my back catalog, my subscriber base, my sponsor relationships, my affiliate income, and all of that stays mine. Print on demand is one people come across a lot. And the idea is that you design products, someone else prints and ships them, and you keep the margin. And on paper, it sounds quite clean, but the reality is that the margins are thin, the competition is enormous, and the hardest part of print on demand is actually getting traffic to your store, which usually means either paying for ads, which has all the same problems as dropshipping, or building an organic audience, which takes time and effort. And if you're going to build an organic audience anyway, you might as well build it around a YouTube channel, where the monetization options are broader and more reliable. SaaS is the one I find most interesting as an alternative, because the ceiling is genuinely high. Like, a successful SaaS product can make orders of magnitude more than a YouTube channel. And the recurring revenue model is compelling for the same reasons I find my school community compelling, which is that it compounds rather than resets. But the barrier to entry for SaaS is significant. Like, you either need to be able to build the product yourself, which requires serious technical skills, or you need to pay someone to build it, which requires capital. And even if you have both of those things, the product still has to actually solve a problem that people will pay for. And figuring that out is a whole separate challenge. And most SaaS attempts fail not because the product is bad, but because the distribution is wrong. Like, nobody finds out about it. And this is actually the thing that connects SaaS back to YouTube, because the people who build successful SaaS products often do so on the back of an audience they've already built, because the audience is the distribution. And without distribution, even a great product goes nowhere. And a faceless YouTube channel in the right niche is one of the most efficient ways to build that distribution. So my honest take on SaaS is that it's a great destination, but a YouTube audience is often the best path to get there. And I've actually started building a no-code SaaS alongside Wi-Fi Uni precisely because the audience gives me the distribution that most SaaS products struggle to find. And then there's the course model, which is probably the most natural comparison to what I'm doing, because a lot of educational YouTube channels eventually pivot to selling courses. And I want to talk about why I've chosen a school community with monthly recurring membership rather than a one-off course, because I think it illustrates something important about how I think about business models generally. A one-off course is a one-off transaction. Like, you make the sale once and then that person is gone, and your income is dependent on constantly finding new customers, and that resets every month in a way that's not that different from advertising-dependent businesses. Whereas a monthly membership compounds. Like, every person who joins and stays raises the floor of the income, and the floor only goes down if people leave faster than they join. And the focus shifts from constant acquisition to delivering enough value that people stick around, which is a much healthier dynamic. And the reason I can do the school on top of the YouTube channel rather than instead of it is that the YouTube channel is the distribution. Like, the subscribers are the people who find the school and join it. And without the channel, the community wouldn't exist. And that's the flywheel I keep coming back to, which is that the channel feeds everything else. And that's why I'd always start with the channel rather than any of the other models. So to pull it all together, the reason I'd pick a faceless YouTube channel over every other model is not that the ceiling is the highest, because it probably isn't. SaaS can go further, a successful agency can scale bigger, and I know that. But it's that the starting conditions are the best. Like, near zero cost, time investment that produces a compounding asset rather than resetting income, skills that develop fast through doing, monetization that kicks in earlier than people expect through sponsors in the right niche, and a platform that acts as distribution for everything else you want to build on top of it. And for someone my age with limited capital and unlimited time and energy, that combination is just hard to beat. And I think the people who figure that out and start now rather than waiting for the perfect moment are going to look back in a few years and be really glad they did. If you want help building something like this, I do have a school community linked in the description. There's direct feedback available depending on which tier you join. No pressure at all. Cheers for watching.